I feel a war fast approaching like a storm. It takes away from all I see. Taking you away, I am complete. Breaking you away is obsolete. Placing all the weight around on me. I don't know.
What's up, guys? This is Jordan with DFW Undercover. Tonight we are joined with our guest Serosia for the evening. Out of the historical Taboo Tattoo out in the great Deep Ellum, Dallas, Texas. Guys, if you want to start down here, why don't you go down the couch, just introduce yourselves.
Lucas, Anthony. I'm Joseph.
I'm Derek. And if I'm not mistaken, it is vocals, drums, bass, and guitar. All right, very cool. Well, hey guys, you know what? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your band? You know what, as far as your sound goes, what are y'all really trying to get across to your fans? What drives you in essence?
What drives us is emotion across the board. When we play, you know, there's a certain energy that's created through, you know, the act of performing itself, the act of writing the song, and just getting a point that you're trying to get across. There's a certain energy to that, and all of us feed off of that quite a bit. As far as, you know, what the sound is intended, you know, as far as like, what we sound like, we don't really shoot for anything in particular. It's just kind of what happens between the four of us when we attempt to make a song. There's really we don't have a formula to it. It's just, there's chemistry between the four of us. In each individual different song is a different thing anyways. There is no template really to follow most of the time. You know, we set some things that we've been doing for quite a while, and you know, the riff thing, everybody in bands does the riff thing, but you know, that's not the only way that we work. We'll do the riff thing. Sometimes we'll come in with just a vocal melody. Sometimes drums. You know.
Do you guys have I know you said you don't really have a formula, but as far as a writing process, is there a way that y'all go about doing it when you decide to get something done?
Yeah, we have a like home studio kind of thing in our gym. So once we have formulated, what would you say, just a little bit of a skeleton.
Like 3 or 4 riffs, that we just record that and then kind of shape the song from there. It's pretty much our formula at the moment.
Now, in regards to the music that you write, now, like you also said, you're not really shooting for anything specific, but what influences has driven each of you to the type of style of playing that you're currently at, you know, individually?
For me, it was always Deftones, Incubus, Glassjaw, bands like that.
Yeah, gotta love Tool.
It's always it's Tool and Deftones across the board for everybody. That's the only thing we kind of agree on. And then everything from there, everybody has their own specific style that they like, and that's what kind of makes the sound what it is we only have a few influences. We're not like a band that's like, oh, you like this band, let's get together and do sound like that band.
Those are the worst bands.
Yeah, here we all just have different styles, and what sticks us together is we're all just lifers. We're just always going to do it. So I do identify that.
Where your record label doesn't give a shit because they're already Shadows Fall, right? Like that. So, you know, as far as you know, your live shows, you know, where do you draw the energy from? You guys just
go it out. I think ever since I started watching live music, seeing a band that engages the audience and actually has a good time, gets into it, and you can feel it. There's a marked difference between a band that's just standing there and playing the song exactly like it sounds on a record. There is something to be said about that too. I love that as well. But for us, the energy, at least for me, when I first saw the Deftones and I saw Chino running around like a madman, I just wanted to do it. I wanted to be that. And for me, I think that drives me, and I know when I move around, it gets these guys going, and vice versa. If I see them going off, it just makes me want to tear it apart.
Now, whenever you're sounding really good, you know, it doesn't matter. The music makes you want to do that. You know what I mean? If you do it right, you know, we'll do that in practice. It's just us four, and nobody's there. We're still all just going crazy.
Almost every time that's there.
Yeah, and I've always thought for us that keeps it more real because we come across and attempt to come across as real. You know, we just are. We don't go out there trying to do anything. And so when we rehearse, if you were to just open the door on us, any given rehearsal, we're in there throwing down just like you see us. Because otherwise, what's the practice? Standing there, if that's not what we're going to do, we're not really practicing. And we're hard on each other about that too. If someone's standing there, I have a tendency to kick Derek. Sometimes I just swing a little too hard, drop his legs out.
He knows.
Although pain no gain.
Right.
It's not a real practice, you know what's in it.
Yeah. But it's funny, the moment that he gets hit, he'll look at me for a second like, oh, okay.
And then he starts going off.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, I see what he just did.
It's funny you mentioned the Deftones like that. I actually got to hang out with them in Dallas and in San Antonio back in '05, and that was one of the things I drew from my own personal live situation when I'd be on stage and jumping around. Is just always thinking these guys were nuts, man. The crowd feeds off of it, and the music band feeds off of it even more. It's really cool. You guys ever been able to meet any of your idols and sit down and talk with them?
I met the Deftones before they were my idols, which is kind of strange. I met them in Boston at the Palladium. Or Worcester at the Palladium, Massachusetts, and I got a moment to talk to them, but I knew 7 words. I had seen the video, and I was like, okay, that's pretty sweet, and I went to the show. And then after that, I was like the biggest fan of them of all time. So I never really got to relish in the fact that I hung out with them. But yeah, I mean, we've been fortunate enough to meet a couple.
7 years ago. Morgan Rose, you know.
Yeah.
To hang out with him.
So Mr. Incredible.
Yeah, it's great to see him.
Well, 10 years guys were awesome too.
Yes.
Those guys are awesome.
Yes, they are. Very good. Now, as far as you guys have a video out right now that I checked out of your website earlier today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? You know, just the basic inspiration behind the creation and who all helped you guys out with that.
I'll start. Judging from the silence. Superposition is the name of the song. We recorded it in New Jersey during the same time we were actually doing our most recent album, Variables. And we knew that was going to be what we were going with as a single, so when we went out there, we had already pre-planned we were going to do a video, you know, however many days into the recording of the record. So what happened was we got out to Jersey, hung out for the first night. I think the first night we got those tones, right?
Yeah, we started setting stuff up.
Yeah.
We set some stuff up,
Tones.
got some scratch tracks and all that stuff. The following day, the actual drums got laid, and then the scratch tracks got thrown on top of that. Because the third day, before anything else was recorded, we just used the scratch tracks as a backing thing for us to do the video to. And, you know, it was like we got there, we were there for, you know, 3 or 4 hours to hang out, went to sleep, it was really late when we got in. 24-hour drive straight from Dallas to Jersey. Straight. Awesome. It was a great time.
It's always great.
Yeah, and we were like just like 30 minutes late, and I was like, oh man, we almost made it. But anyways,
Did anybody get left at a gas station on an accident?
that's happened before.
I'm without. Even though I'm tempting, eyes only comprise of energy. Swallow all the pain inside, the truth they hide is haunting me. Oh, even though I'm tempting,
Anyways, so we got out there, we did the scratch tracks for the first 2 days, and then the third day, they were mixing Anthony's drums, and we actually went in there and did the video, and it was like 12 hours straight in a warehouse-style looking room that was all closed off and weird looking, and we did all of the setup for like, it's not much, but everything that's in that video we set up in there. It was like, we did the set design, made it feel a little bit more cool to watch
Yeah, they
afterwards.
just had a big empty room, you know, so we had to figure out some way of getting some sort of style to it. Or
Did you guys set up the candles on your own?
Yeah,
Those are
that
We
was
actually ran over there. It was like 6 o'clock and the sun was going down, and we had to run across this main road in Jersey where it was like a tollway too. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was like 12 lanes. And we were like,
Frogger.
just go.
It was
So-
our lunch break, I remember, like
Yes.
everybody's taking lunch, we had to run over there and get something because we were doing other kinds of shots. So we weren't doing those wide shots. We were like, I have to figure something out. So
It was cool.
store game.
It was really cool.
Now, you mentioned the album. You have the most recent album, Variables. Now, what all went into that? Who did you guys go through to do the recording for it?
That's our 4th EP, and we recorded it with our manager, Christian Machado. He sings with the band El Nino, and he's been around with us for pretty much since the beginning. Not really working for us until late 2011, when we started talking to him about actually coming out and doing the EP. He wanted us to come out, long story short, he wanted us to come out for our 2nd EP to Jersey, but we had already set up an entire session with Big Blue Meaning, which is the studio that did Taking Back Sundays records, and they did Thursdays records, all of them, and they did 36 Crazy Fists, which is another thrice. So we were like, stoked to go there when Christian hit us up and said, come and do the record with us. So we told him we couldn't, we would once the funds were there and all that. Finally, the funds got around to being there around 2011, and we talked a lot. We did about, I'd say 6 to 8 months, it was probably closer to the 8 months of pre-production, sending files back and forth online of what we had in our home studio to Christian. He would send back like a piano melody that he had altered on what I had, and then he'd cut up the song like for structures and send it back to them. And we had the discussion. It's really cool to work that way, and had never done it before really. And that was the first time we were ever truly produced by somebody to where they had a word in our songs.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a lot of people think you have a producer, they're helping write the song altogether. It wasn't like that at all. He came in after these songs were done and kind of as a 5th member helped shape them to where everybody was happy about the end result.
Yeah.
And he, having that much time with the songs beforehand, it helped a whole lot. Because when we got into the studio, everyone at the studio knew our songs, they had it all ready to go. So, and ideas were able to flow a lot easier because of that. You're not sitting there trying to say, oh, no, you're going to like this, the next part's going to sell it for you. They already know. They already know.
We're terrified of wasting time, only to find we'll never know. My friend are making me a telephonic holograph machine. You are
What are the
me.
names of the other EPs that you guys have out currently? And how do y'all feel you've evolved as a band, individually and as a group, from the beginning to Variables?
The first one was the Current State of Being. That was one that we already kind of had a couple songs written at the time when the band formed, and then we just wrote 3 more, and we instantly just recorded it. And then, so as far as creative energy as a band as a whole, that wasn't one that was, I don't know, I guess as organic as the other albums, because after that, we each kind of made each song from like scratch, from what we feel from where it comes from, and I don't know, and I think the second album was, I guess we were angry. It was a very heavy album, that's all I can say, and then third album, we got Joseph in the band, so he had a lot to do with that.
Yeah. Who was in your place before?
Zach Bates, who's the bass player for El Nino as well.
Okay.
So I came in, and at that point we wrote Vehicle, which was our first trying to get something out to show
That had Joseph.
Yeah, that had me on it for sure, because I was playing a lot of shows with their old stuff, which is great. I loved it, and then obviously it's what got me in the band in the first place. I saw the direction, so I liked it. And then when we wanted to play new songs, but nobody knew the songs. We were just trying to get something out there. That was kind of just our own independent release, trying to get selling at shows to say we saw some of these songs, now we know them next time. And then after that, we came and did Variables with Christian. And so that's our 4. That's the most recent. So everything seems to be going. We're probably going to have another one here soon.
Yeah.
That's the way it's going.
Are y'all sticking with is it Christian?
Yes.
Christian, we would like to. I think we actually had a discussion before we got here about some of this stuff, and I think right now we're focusing on some industry stuff to where it's not going to be for anyone's ears except for ours, our management, and where that goes from there. And I think it's maybe 3 or 4 songs. We haven't really fully fully decided yet. But we're
Those
working on
would
those
be-
songs.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Those would
Okay.
be for sure on the records. You know, those would be like the best ones to promote it. So that's already in the works for the next album, doing all that stuff. And what makes it are the songs that we all agree on, that you know, that get through the ringer. There's other songs that always kind of fall aside. So I mean, we have like a lot of songs. You know, it's only the best of the best that we kind of try to put out. So you never know which one of those will actually be, you know, spurred into being on the album when a producer hears it or whatever. So you know, sometimes they'll bring another wrangle. So the songs you thought might be dead will come back.
Right.
But already the ones that we have for sure in the works.
It's always fun to write a song that you don't release right off the bat, and then over a couple of years you're able to fill it into something like you finally get it done.
It
just
is
kicks
wild.
ass.
It's wild. Friendly Fire I've had for a long time. I've always had it. This is the first time I've ever been to play it where it sounds like I hear it in my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had other chances to play it in other bands and it just wasn't working out. So
That's one of the hard things about being a musician is getting it from here to the audience.
it is, and it's hard, but you have to have a team that you trust in, and you know, at least here, you know, I have everybody can do their part to the maximum. It's not a problem. So.
Forget about it all. You are making me the telephonic holograph machine. You are making me forget about it all. Even though attempting isolate commands of energy. All the pain inside, the truth behind.
First question, you know, who is your management group and who helps you the most out of that? And second, I know that you guys are unsigned right now. Are you guys looking for anybody?
Yes, active. And I hate it when bands kind of dance around it on interviews and they're like, that information will come. You know, no, we're looking. We're looking. It's definitely more of a process than you probably think when you first start in a band. There's a lot more that goes into it. There's a lot more doors you have to knock on before you get to the ultimate door. But we've been climbing the ladder for a while on that journey, and you know, continuing to search right now. But right now is a good time for us because this thing that we're dropping is going to be, like I said, an industry demo. So it's going to go out to those types, and hopefully, you know, sometime this year we hear something back. That's you know, perfect world. But definitely going to continue on to that until we get it.
And the management group you're currently with?
What's that?
The management group you're currently with?
Yes. Sound War from Jersey. It's Christian, permanently our manager. That's he's straight up just him. It's just him and us, really.
Yeah.
We're taking the world over
pretty
together.
good team, man.
Yeah.
As far as, you know, we're sitting in April right now. For the rest of 2014, what are your main goals and obstacles you hope to overcome? Do you guys have any plans currently for 2015 that you're really trying to set in the works long term?
There's nothing in stone for 2015. Hopefully 2015 will be 11 months of touring and
Right.
4 weeks of sitting at home.
Nice.
That's what everybody wants to do. Whether it happens or not, you know, we'll see how that goes. Right now, for me, our focus is on writing majorly for the next release or for that demo. And we have some shows. Houston, we're playing at the end of next month, and then we have a really good radio-sponsored show in Joplin, Missouri, because we've had a single, Superpositions, out there on Active Rock at 44. So it's climbed the charts big time, and they offered us a show out there, radio-sponsored, and their guitar giveaways and in-studio performances and stuff, so that's going to be a rad time. Outside of that, that's our last show that we have booked, and the label search will continue, and, you know, we're going to continue to write.
What do you guys have to say to your fans before we bid y'all farewell and let you get out to the show?
Go drink your cold cock whiskey. Wear your Stand Strong gear. Contact Cynical Inc. for all your shirt goods.
Damn.
Throw them names out, man.
Right.
Come out and see us,
Cha-ching,
yeah. Hell yeah,
cha-ching.
exactly.
And just
My
come to
check.
the show. That's it. That's all I ask.
Cool.
Keep
You'll get
supporting
it.
us.
You'll get it.
Yep. We've had a lot of support from the scene. I do want to say thanks to everybody, bands, especially local bands that don't have egos, which is cool because there's a lot of them now that are actually part of a team. And I want to say shout out to all those guys. Everybody in the local band that knows us, and even regional bands that we played with, thank you guys. Because you've helped us, slept on your floors, we played shows together. For me, that's a really important thing. So thank you.
Well, this is Jordan Talley signing off with DFW Undercover. We'll see you guys later tonight out at Reno's Chop Shop. Stay tuned.